All right, let's keep going here. This is where the rubber meets the road. By the way, at the time of this recording, both of my parents had passed away in, less than 3 months from each other. So it really caused me to think a lot about legacy and what matters, because I think that both of my parents left a really good legacy in terms of the people and the friends and the family and the impact they've had on the community and the world. But boy, when you leave got both of those gone at one time, you really think about, okay, what really matters here. So a lot of this is coming from, at the time of the recording, a lot of this is coming from a lot of thought and prayer and deliberation. It matters to me right now. Maybe you can feel that in the passion I have about why this is so important for you guys, important for all of us. Letter E, engage fully in today and tomorrow. Now, where the leader lives, if you got to go past and you got to go present and the future, the normal leader lives where? Which time zone? We live here. We're worried about the future and we got to make payroll, and we've got to call a profit, and you know what else we've got to do? We got to be accountable to the stakeholders in our lives, the owners or the clients or the board of directors, the board advisor or whoever. And so we always think here. You know why we do that? Because it helps us to worry, and we sort of like worrying a bit, because then we feel like there's a sense of control over our lives. So that's not the way a legacy person lives. That's why I said engage fully in today and tomorrow, because our tendency is to be the tomorrow. But you really need to be mindful. Good old psychobabble term I found to be very helpful. That's the today part. What did Jesus say? He said, hey. He didn't say, hey. That's not what the Greek says. He said, look at the lilies of the field. They're not worried. And yet Solomon in all his glory was not dressed as they are. And they're fine. The sparrow's fine. And so the point is, there's always this, I like to call it, because you can't do two things at once. The research on multitasking is so clear. You just can't do it once. But there really is a shifting back and forth. And I found that it works for me. The shifting back and forth between present and future. Also, if you're going to get healthy, you got to have the past too, right? Got to go to the past and figure out where the issues came from and all that. But the important thing about this, and the reason I'm so big on the today part, is because the today provides here we go again, making a consistent model for you guys to grow from, the nutrients. Engagement today provides the nutrients. When you're in process group, or you're coaching or being coached, or you're having a one-on-one conversation or whatever, you're providing those 20-some relational nutrients to one another. You can't do that if the person's not in the present, if they're in the past. The door closes when somebody's trying to give them to you and you're thinking about the future. Ever tried to help somebody who was worried? Oh my gosh, as a leadership coach, as also the psychologist part, somebody will be struggling with, let's suppose they say, my people aren't who they should be, and the culture's not right, and they're not really a team together, and if they're really, escalating their about how bad that is, and if I haven't figured them out, I'll say something like, okay, there's a lot of hope here. There's no red flags here. I've seen everything in your company that doesn't scare me, because I know you're going to be okay. And they'll go, and another thing is that, my business partner is this way too. And I'll say, we can handle that. And another thing, and I'll realize they're not listening. You know where they are? They're not here in Mr. Present. They're here in the future. They can't even hear anything. They cannot literally receive the nutrients they need to change and grow. I've spent a lot of time on this, as you can ask Barbie and my life team and my family, on not being loaded up in the future so that I can really come back to the present and also the past when I need to, because I want to get the nutrients today. So if you're like me, and most leaders, 90% of the leaders I work with don't stay in the present enough, get more mindful, get engaged emotionally. Remember the mindfulness exercise I talked about a while back, where the little thing I came up with is, wherever I am, a couple of times a day, what are my five senses saying? See, smell, think, feel, and taste, and then and hear. And then what am I feeling right now? Positive. And what am I feeling negative? And that really helps you to stay mindful if you don't have the bent that way. You've got to develop that because you can't get the fuel. You will not have the fuel if you don't do this. Very, very important. Why do you need to be tomorrow? Well, yeah, we got to give the nod to the future for tomorrow because tomorrow requires structure and focus. So you're getting all your nutrients now, and you're structuring and focus for then. Then the legacy happens because you filled up your tank, you're healthy, you're good to go, you got a lot of validation and you got a lot of attunement and you got a lot of identification and people love you and get you and tell the truth and wisdom and challenge, and now you put structure and focus in your life because you want to drive that ship called your life to the future. Then letter F, be forgiven and forgive. You know, what's more important than that? Make sure that your accounts are short. The Bible just tells us over and over again to be forgiving people and also to be forgiven people. Keep the account short. What's the practical reason for this? Well, for one thing, it clears the mind. It clears your mind for a thing called achievement. Did you know that lack of forgiveness will keep you from achieving your goals because you're still arguing like it's not right, it's not fair, they shouldn't have done that. Now you got to have that protest season in your life. You know, you've seen the leadership forgiveness didactic, I hope. You got to have that season, but it's got to be expressed and confessed, and then you've got to grieve it, and you've got to cancel the debt as God canceled the debt against you, and then all of a sudden your mind is clear for achievement. You've got to remember, this forgiveness is for my benefit. It's not because you're getting somebody who doesn't deserve it off the hook. None of us deserve it. Deserve doesn't have a place in forgiveness. But it's for my benefit. I'm better. My legacy's better. My life now is better. So forgiven. And make that just a habit and a discipline. That has paid off so much for me. It's fun, it's really funny. When you read books about forgiveness, I've written a lot of stuff about forgiveness. The emphasis is always on forgiving others. But as I worked with this more, I've just realized there's a lot more that we have to be forgiven for than to forgive others. And if what you kind of think about in your deeper kind of like what's important thoughts are all the people you need to forgive, you might want to have a problem. It should be over 50% of forgiveness should be about my forgiveness. That's why the Bible talks about confession and repentance and taking the beam out of my eye. If over 50% of it is about those others I got to forgive, you might have a beam in the eye problem there. So, you know, just think about the ratio there, a little more than 50%, right? And then letter G, love and be faithful. And the reason I put that for legacy, into people who are legacy interested, is because sometimes I have no idea what to do when I'm having a tough conversation with somebody, or there's an organizational issue, or there's so many variables flying around, I'm getting confused. I like to get to a bottom line. You know what I loved a few years ago was when the WWJD bracelets came out. What would Jesus do? This is sort of the WWJD is, well, what else have I got to do? I got to love. I got to love God and the people I'm with, and I got to be faithful. And I've done this so much and I'm not talking about it in some religious sense. I'm talking about money and talking about systems and operations and, you know, vision casting, et cetera, et cetera. What would be a loving thing to do? What would be a faithful thing to do that's going to be fair to me and fair to other people and also be loving to me and other people and God? Always pays off. So when in doubt, that's why I said default. I've got no idea where I'm going. What's the most loving thing? What's the most faithful thing? Do I need to set a limit here and say no? Do I need to push back? Do I need to be more vulnerable? I don't know. But use that. Very, very helpful. And the reason I like it there in a legacy talk is because if you are not responsible with your time, energy, money, taking care of yourself, relationally healthy, you're not going to achieve what you need to achieve that's going to go down the line to further generations. This is to kind of save you so you don't waste time with a bunch of hairpin turns and rabbit trails that don't go anywhere. You want to make sure that that ship called your life is going the right way. That'll keep you more effective, keep you on track. So, conclusion, growth questions for growth. Number one, what kind of a legacy do you want to have? Just describe it. Be something you can write down. Do you want to leave? Kind of like an umbrella view of what this whole didactic was about. And secondly, which of the aspects above do you most need to put energy into? Remember the neurological highlighter in our heads that goes, I just turned that one yellow I'm making it shout at you because you need to work on this. Is for you. This is important. I really believe when it's something hits you in your gut and you go, that's a big deal. And if nothing hits you, ask somebody if something should hit you. Something should hit you. And what can you do about this month? So let me close with this. Here's one more last interactive question. I put a little more into this because it's so important, I think, for you guys. Which of those three, letter E, F, and G, engagement in today and tomorrow, forgiveness, and loving and be faithful, which of those has the most impact for you right now? That's all we've got to say about it. So I hope it's a great day. I hope you have great process groups where people are being vulnerable and saying the truth and hearing the truth and breakthroughs about the past and getting new skills and great EQ and great attunement and great work groups today and a great lunch and great ahas and great homework assignments. I just hope it's a great day for you. You guys are awesome. So, hope it goes well for you. Sayonara.